Hey guys and girls, Bored now back with you. On this video I will be reviewing episode 1 of The Idol. The episode is called Pop Tarts and Rat Tails. Full spoilers from the start of this review. New HBO series from Euphoria creator Sam Levinson. So I have covered Euphoria on this channel. I did all of season 1 plus the specials, and I did most of season 2. I didn't quite finish it. I had a couple more to review, but the majority of the Euphoria I have reviewed on this channel, so you can check out those reviews if you're interested in that show and the creator. So this is a much talked about new show from him and very controversial show. It sparked claims of misogyny and various other things. It's worth saying that he originally wasn't going to be the main showrunner on this. It was originally going to be a female, so that's something that's worth bearing in mind when you think about all this stuff. So the story is about this rising pop artist, Jocelyn, played by Lily Rose Depp, who has recently gone through a bit of a crisis. She's lost her mother, so she's dealing with that, has issues with mental health, and she's attempting to make a big comeback in pop music and find her groove again, just find that inspiration. She's been working on a new comeback single, but isn't quite sure if it's any good. And really the first episode is about her trying to find that groove again, that spark, and her trying to just jazz herself up and find the right way to present herself. And she's being encouraged by many people around her to sex it up, to be more provocative, to be more sexy. There's like a photo shoot that opens it, and many people around her are encouraging her to go all the way and show cleavage, stuff like that. And then midway through the episode at a club, she meets this club owner who's played by The Weeknd. Yes, the rapper The Weeknd, who also co-creates and produces the show. And he becomes almost like a guru to her, where there's an attraction between the two of them, like quite a full-on attraction, but he is also looking to show her how to become more sexy and to as he describes it at the end of the episode, to like sing like you've actually been fucked, sort of thing, like with conviction. He references Donna Summer in that, and so it's going to dive into some of the controversial ways which he attempts to motivate her. So that's the setup, and I've had a bit of an up and down time with Levinson anyway through Euphoria, which I mostly liked, but then season 2 definitely I wasn't so hot on, and it definitely just came across as in it was being shocking for the sake of it. And that's definitely something which has been labelled at this also. Episode 1, I think, is a mixed bag. Like, you don't really get that much story, and I wonder if it is going to be one of those where it's not that much story. A lot of it is set up. I did enjoy the opening bit, like with them doing this photo shoot, and they're aiming to be very like modern and contemporary and really comment on modern themes to do with social media and sexuality. That seems to be the aim of the series. But the first part of the episode was pretty entertaining to watch. You've got, I think overall, the first episode, at least some of it was watchable because you've got a good cast and you've got a good energy to it. This is the first time I've seen Lily Rose Depp, but I think she's good. I think she's very watchable, and there's definitely a distinctness to her performance. and it's a solid cast. Like Jane Addams, who I'm a big fan of, who plays this really shallow, superficial like producer, who's like trying to guide her to like show off her sexuality, and it's just very like icy and cold, and always looking for ways to manipulate situations. She's excellent. She's very good. Like, it's pushing a button, but her stuff about how you manipulate like mental health issues, because someone who works with Jocelyn in the music on her music is concerned about her being like exploited. And yeah, it's the Jane Addams character is like, fuck this, why would you want to safeguard like her cleavage? You know, stop trying to cock block America is like a famous line, but she's also talking about like mental health and how you can exploit it because of how like guys don't, from like a small town in America, don't have a chance with this kind of girl, but you do if it's to do with mental health, if you pretend you have a mental health problem. So really going for that kind of, yeah, this is a despicable like character type thing. As I said, the opening half, like, it has energy in it. There's an effective moment where she's trying to do this dance routine and you've got all these dancers involved and she can't quite do it. And then there's this other dancer who's a friend of hers who shows her how to do it, and then she does it and it really goes well. And at the same time, you've got all these different characters who are involved in the shoot who are watching on. And she just excels. She performs really well. And it's a really good scene. Like, it's a good moment for the character. And it's visually good because that's something that Levinson just does really well. You've seen it in Euphoria. He knows how to set these scenes out and do like visual set pieces, and there's some pretty amusing stuff in the opening half. I think where it works best is that stuff because you have like a commentary on like now having like intimacy coordinators on sets and stuff in the wake of the whole Me Too, and I'm assuming it's trying to poke at that and make a little fun of that stuff becoming a bit too controlling and like PC, and I'm not necessarily saying I agree with that or not, but it did make for quite a funny commentary in the episode where, like, at one point they're told then there's an intimacy writer where it's saying she won't allow her to show all, like, full breasts. Like, you'll have to get a new writer if you want to do that, so we'll have to do it tomorrow. So there's all this back and forth where at one point the guy who's objecting and saying, yeah, you can't really do this with today, he then gets locked in the bathroom. Like, this guy gives this other guy like $5,000 or something to like keep him trapped in the bathroom for 3 hours so they can actually do the shoot. But the problem is mostly the stuff with the Weeknd character where she meets him in the club, because the Weeknd isn't an actor, and you can see that from the moment he starts speaking. Then he can't act at all. There's no presence to this guy. There's no charisma, despite the fact that he's a successful pop artist. And I think that might just come across here because this particular character, yeah, maybe he has the sort of charisma that works for his pop music, but not so much this character. And there's no chemistry between the two of them. You don't feel a spark. You don't feel like a sexuality there, or then these two are really into each other. And I think once you get to that stuff in the club, the episode just becomes really shallow and superficial. but not in the same way it was at the start of the episode, where there's a bite to it, there's a spark, it's quite entertaining, it's actually saying things. This is just pretty shallow and dull to watch, where you're not really that into the characters. Like, you don't really care about what's going on, and you don't really feel this relationship. And it's at this point where the episode does feel like a vanity project, because you just get the sense then, oh, The Weeknd gets to co-create the show, he gets to produce it, and he's a star, and he gets to do all these salacious, sexy things with the lead girl, and it's just not very interesting to watch. It's very boring to watch. And I think as the episode goes on, like, it becomes more and more shallow, and it becomes more like they're just looking to push buttons, because there's this awkward line about how, because Joseline's best friend, and, well, best friend sister she calls her, but she works with her, and the actress I think I've seen in other stuff as well, but she's playing the more almost shy, petite type one, who's very loyal to her, but yeah, it is less glamorous, just like her assistant. But at one point she mentions, oh, really, the guy with the rat tail? And it's like, he's a bit rapey, isn't he? And she's like, yeah, but I sort of like that. So they're definitely going to be pushing those really bad taste style buttons, because we get the scene at the end of the episode where, in fact, it does border on becoming a bit rapey, because he's trying to show her this technique where he, like, literally, like, wraps her up in like a cloak and kind of chokes her, and, like, at the end he cuts a hole where the mouth is and gets her to breathe through it, so it's like, yeah, now you can see, that sort of thing. But it's a really uncomfortable moment, but not really uncomfortable in a way that was merited. Like, I don't really find this stuff that interesting to watch, and I don't think it's making enough of a point to be that interesting. I just feel like it's shocking for the sake of shocking, and that is not really adding that much to, like, discussing modern day sexuality. It just feels then it comes from quite a nasty and cheap place, and doesn't really justify itself in the plot. And another thing is, like, they're watching Basic Instinct at one point, that being Jocelyn and her friend, and it's like, it's a nice reference and everything, and they're actually holding hands, so I think it's implied that there could be something more between them. Now, she does call her a sister at one point, so I don't know if that was a term or if she actually is her sister, but because they have Basic Instinct and they reference it when they're watching it, you sort of feel that could be the best way for this to go, than if they made it into this really high energy style thriller and actually did something a bit more intriguing with the plot and characters. It might make this less shallow and soulless to watch, because as it is, I just don't think there's enough bite to the satire overall. Like, some of the social media stuff, I don't think it's saying enough that hasn't been said before. So because of that, it just comes off as, like, a bit shocking. And the other thing is, like, there's a reporter from Vanity Fair there who's, like, milling around and looking to get an interview, and, like, the big drama of the episode is then there's, like, a controversial picture of Joseline's face, which has been circling on the internet, and it's like, well, cum basically on her face, and it becomes a whole thing about, yeah, this isn't the image we're looking to put out there, and they're just looking to, like, micromanage it in the best way possible. And, like, she's obviously taken aback when she first sees it, but that stuff in the first half of the episode is like the best stuff in the episode. I think there's just something quite satisfying about the way it's shot and about how, like, it's all about the distance and how awkward she is and this sort of like detachment, and then these like sarky characters around it. One bit which is a bit like kind of cringe is just because they cast Eli Roth in one of the roles, and when I saw his name on the credits at the end, I just rolled my eyes. And he plays the really nasty record producer who, I guess that sort of fits for Eli Roth, but he was, like, you could tell he couldn't really act, and I think it's just a little bit self-indulgent having that sort of, like, guy playing that part, because he's definitely one of these very masculine style directors and characters who likes to get in with his buddies, and that just feels like what this is really. So it's a mixed pilot. Like, I don't think it's anything to get that upset about. I think at times it's just pretty dull, and that's for at least half of the episode. It definitely had a good opening, I thought, and that's the stuff I like the best. But yeah, I'm not really feeling it too much at the moment, but I'll certainly watch another episode and see where it goes. But that's my thoughts on The Idol episode 1. Let me know your thoughts if you've seen it in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. Share me out on social media, and I'll see you guys again soon. Goodbye.